Let me lay it all out for you about this tough chapter in my life. I'm in my early 30s, been married for 4 years, and things have taken a nosedive in a way I never expected. My wife dropped a bombshell when she made it clear she doesn't feel obligated to be intimate with me just because we're married. It hit me hard, but I had to admit she's got a point. Being husband and wife doesn't come with a contract for bedroom intimacy. Still, that reality is tough to swallow, and dealing with this kind of disconnect day after day feels like a slow burn that's tearing me apart. I've reached my limit, and I can't keep pretending everything's fine. This week, I've been working closely with my lawyer to draft divorce papers, because I genuinely believe going our separate ways is the best option for both of us. Over time, we've grown so out of sync, especially when it comes to physical and emotional closeness, that it's like we're living in two different worlds. Looking back, I kick myself for not taking more time to really get to know her before we got hitched. I can't even recall exactly how long we dated, but it feels like I walked into a trap. She was all affection and effort before the wedding, but the moment that ring was on her finger, it's like she flipped a switch and stopped caring. It's the kind of bait-and switch that leaves you questioning everything. We're both in our early 30s, and we even got our hormone levels checked. Everything came back normal, so there's no medical reason for the lack of spark. I tried everything to fix this mess. I made the mistake of begging her to try marriage counseling and intimacy therapy, which I now see was a bad move. Pleading probably made me look weak, and that's not exactly a recipe for reigniting passion. I bent over backward to do every single thing she said she wanted, but she just kept coming up with new excuses for why nothing was changing. It's exhausting to pour your heart into meeting someone's demands only to have them dodge the real issues. Our daily routine isn't the problem. We've got a fair system for household chores. We take turns with laundry and dishes, and we each handle specific tasks around the house. But that balance doesn't extend to our emotional or physical connection. Lately, she's not even interested in the small stuff, like hugging or kissing, and it feels like she's completely checked out. I've lost count of how many times we've talked this over, but it's like talking to a wall. Things weren't like this at the start of our relationship. Back then, she was warm and attentive, and I felt like we were building something real. Now, I'm left wondering what went wrong, and I can't shake the suspicion that she's getting that affection somewhere else, especially since things have gone so cold at home. What really pushed me over the edge was when she casually brought up trying for kids earlier this week. I was floored, and honestly, pretty ticked off. It felt like she saw me as some kind of tool for starting a family, not as a partner she's connected to. We've only been intimate twice this entire year, and it's been over 6 months since the last time. The idea of bringing kids into this broken dynamic? That's a hard no. It hit me that she might be settling for me. Someone who can provide a stable life, a nice wedding, and all the trappings, while her heart's elsewhere. That's not the kind of marriage I want to be in. This whole ordeal has taught me a hard lesson about choosing a partner. You've got to be careful about who you marry, because some women tie the knot for the ring, the big day, or the security, not because they're truly invested in you. When that happens, the guys they settle for often end up with little to no intimacy, just like me. If your needs aren't being met, and you've put in real effort to make things work, you've got every right to walk away, even if you're married. Staying in a relationship where you're not valued is a losing game. I've made up my mind to serve her the divorce papers next Monday, and I'm planning to move out as soon as I can. It's tough to think about ending things this way, but I'm convinced it's the right move for both of us in the long run. I'm also heading back to my hometown to settle into the house I inherited from my mom, who passed away. I used to own it half and half with my sister, but I gave her my share a while back. We'd moved to our current city for my wife's job, and now I see how much of this marriage has been about her needs. That's a mistake I won't make again. When I handed her the papers, she was completely shocked, probably because she didn't think I'd actually go through with it. I explained everything, every conversation we'd had, every time I tried to make it work, and how her lack of effort proved we're just not compatible. It was an emotional mess, with tears and arguments, but I held firm. That day was chaotic, and there's a lot I'm keeping private because it's just too personal. I'm sharing this because I need to get it off my chest, and maybe hear a neutral take from folks who aren't caught up in the drama. If someone's not showing you love through their actions, not just words, that's a clear sign they're not in it for you. I've been in relationships before where the connection was real, where the passion was undeniable, and it's a world apart from this. That's why I know I'm doing us both a favor by walking away before we make bigger mistakes, like starting a family. The day after I served my wife the divorce papers, I started packing up my essentials, ready to leave this chapter behind. Out of nowhere, she transformed into someone I barely recognized. She approached me decked out in lingerie, holding costumes and toys, radiating a level of passion I hadn't seen in years. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough to turn her away. She's still the woman I love and find attractive, and that made resisting her advances a real struggle. But deep down, I know staying in this marriage isn't healthy for either of us. The sudden shift in her behavior raised red flags. Where did all this stuff come from overnight? It's hard to believe someone who's been so distant could flip a switch like that, unless they're desperate to keep things from falling apart. It felt like a calculated move, not a genuine change of heart. I couldn't shake the thought that her sudden interest might be tied to something else. Like maybe she's been getting that passion elsewhere and now realizes she's about to lose the stability I provide. I've heard from others that this kind of behavior often points to infidelity, especially when intimacy screeched to a halt after the early days of our marriage. Looking back, there were probably signs I missed. Maybe she was glued to her phone, guarding it like a secret, or coming home late from work trips or girls' nights out. I never dug into it because I trusted her completely, but now I'm questioning if that trust was misplaced. The idea that she's been happy in our nearly intimacy-free marriage while I've been miserable makes me wonder if she's been fulfilling her needs somewhere else. Right now, I'm staying in a hotel to get some space and clear my head. I've packed my important belongings, changed all my passwords, and taken care of shared accounts to protect myself. My sister's coming next week to pick me up, and I'll crash at her place in our hometown until I can get beds and furniture delivered to the house I inherited from our mom. It's a fresh start, and I need that distance to process everything. My wife's been trying to reach out, but I've been ignoring her calls and leaving her texts unread. I need a few days of peace to steel myself for what's ahead, finalizing the divorce and moving on with my life. I've read some advice online, and a lot of people point out how insulting it is that she only showed interest in intimacy after I handed her the divorce papers. It's like she could have made an effort all along but chose not to, valuing her own happiness over mine. That stings, because it shows I wasn't a priority until she realized she might lose me. Some folks even suggested she might be trying to manipulate me, maybe even aiming to get pregnant to lock me in, especially since she mentioned kids recently. That idea makes my skin crawl. Even if that happened, I wouldn't stay. Not for a kid, not for anything. I take care of my responsibilities, but I'm done with a relationship where I'm not valued. This whole ordeal has been a wake-up call. I wish we'd been more compatible when it came to intimacy. Not just in the bedroom, but in all the little ways, like hugging, kissing, or just feeling close. Those things vanished, and her sudden attempts now feel like too little, too late. I've learned that if someone isn't showing you love through their actions, they're not truly invested. I've been in relationships before where the connection was electric, where the other person couldn't keep their hands off me, and it's a stark contrast to this. That's why I'm sticking to my decision to walk away. I'm grateful for the advice I've gotten. It's helped me see things clearer. Some people think she might wear me down if she keeps trying, but I'm determined to stay strong. I've got to focus on myself now, figure out where I went wrong, and rebuild. I was probably too much of a nice guy she settled for, and that's a mistake I won't repeat. There are good women out there, but I've learned everyone's capable of letting you down if the circumstances push them that way. For now, my happiness has to come from within, doing what I love, surrounding myself with people who genuinely care, and not relying on someone else to fill that void. I'm ready to move forward, and I just hope I don't fall for any last-ditch attempts to pull me back into a marriage that's already broken. If you found my story relatable or got something out of it, I'd love for you to hit that like button. It really helps share this journey with others. And if you want to keep up with more real-life experiences like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for being here, and let's keep the conversation going.